Without even being aware, dozens, maybe hundreds of times every day, we use and hear about concepts like money, currencies, and credit. However, while finance is indeed one of the most important topics that affects our lives, many issues related to this topic are not well understood. Myths abound, together with contradicting opinions, and many aspects of money lie in the realm of confusion and misunderstanding. In this video, I will try to explain the need for and the purpose of money. And in order to do so, we will go back to the beginnings before money was present and imagine a society without money, a society where barter was the only way to perform an exchange. So let us imagine a situation of the old days. A shepherd has a herd of goats, but he also has a plot of land where he would like to plant some wheat. For this, he would need a plow. Luckily, there is a blacksmith in the village. The shepherd goes to the blacksmith and offers him 2 young goats in exchange for a plow. The blacksmith thinks for a second. Yes, 2 young goats for a plow seems like a fair exchange. The only problem is, I do not want 2 goats. But I use a lot of coal in my shop, so if you bring me a carriage load of coal, I will give you the plow. There is a mine close to the village that has coal. The shepherd pays the miner a visit, offering him the 2 young goats in exchange for a carriage load of coal. Yes, replies the coal merchant. 2 young goats for a carriage load of coal seems like a fair exchange. The only thing is that I do not really want the goats. But I need some fabric to make a tarp to cover my coal, so I will take 2 rolls of canvas for a carriage load of coal. There is also a weaver in the village. The shepherd goes over and offers him the 2 young goats in exchange for 2 rolls of fabric. Yes, says the weaver. 2 young goats for 2 rolls of canvas seems like a fair exchange. Let's make the deal. Finally, after a long day of hard work, the shepherd can take the fabric, go to the coal merchant, exchange the fabric for coal, take the coal to the blacksmith, and exchange the coal for a plow. Now he can go back home with the plow he needed and desired. It seems pretty complicated, doesn't it? This shows one of the main challenges of a barter society. It requires something called the double coincidence of wants. This concept was introduced by the Austrian economist Karl Menger in his book on the origins of money. Simply put, an economic exchange will take place only if both parties want the other party has to offer. Even though the blacksmith deemed the exchange of 2 young goats for a plow as fair, the exchange could not take place because the blacksmith did not want the goats. Even though the coal merchant also agreed that trading 2 young goats for a carriage load of coal would be fair, the exchange could not take place because he did not want the goats. All the exchanges were made possible because both parties wanted the exchange to happen. The weaver wanted the goats and the shepherd wanted the canvas. The reason the shepherd wanted the canvas was because he knew that the coal merchant wanted it, and he could exchange the canvas for coal. Further, the reason he wanted the coal was because he knew the blacksmith needed it, and he could exchange the coal for the plow that he himself wanted. So in a barter society, no exchange can take place without the double coincidence of wants. It is also important to observe that after the exchange, parties are better off than they were before the exchange. This is mainly related to another economic concept defined by Karl Menger called declining marginal utility. How does this work? Before the exchange, the shepherd already had a herd that provided him and his family with meat and milk, so the 2 young goats didn't bring him much additional value. After the exchange, he still has the herd, but also a plow to use for cultivating his plot of land. The shepherd is in a better position after the exchange than before because the goats he gave away were less valuable to him than the plow he received. The blacksmith had a plow in his workshop but not enough coal. After the exchange, he is also in a better position because the plow he wanted to trade was less valuable for him than the new coal that allows him to run the shop. Now he has the coal and can always make another plow because the necessary infrastructure is already available. workshop, tools, materials, and skills. The miner had plenty of coal, but he needed to cover the coal to protect it from rain. After the exchange, he is better off because the carriage full of coal he traded was less valuable for him than the canvas he needed. Now he can protect the coal that he already extracted. The same applies for the fabric weaver who can always produce additional fabric. After the exchange, the weaver has two young goats that can produce milk and cheese for his family. So every party is better off after an exchange simply because man values less what man has and values more what man is getting. But barter faces another challenge, especially when we talk about goods of different perceived values, and that is the issue of trust. Now, let's imagine that the blacksmith who already agreed to exchange a plow for a carriage load of coal gets a visit from another farmer who has lots of hens that produce eggs. This farmer needs a plow as well, and he is willing to give to the blacksmith some baskets of eggs. More precisely, 1 year's supply of eggs for the blacksmith and his family. This sounds like a fair deal to the blacksmith too, after he quickly does the math. He trades away a plow and he is getting a full year of egg supply. But there is a problem. Eggs are perishable, and if they do the exchange now, the blacksmith will have to throw away most of the eggs after a couple of weeks. They could make an agreement where the farmer gets the plow now and commit himself to deliver a certain quantity of eggs every week for a whole year. But this kind of agreement requires full trust, as the blacksmith is willing to give away a high-value item in exchange for a promise of periodical smaller deliveries in the future. The same is valid for the reverse agreement, where the farmers will deliver eggs for 1 year, trusting that the blacksmith will give him a plow at the year's end. A deal can be made only if the parties trust each other. The blacksmith must trust the farmer in order to be willing to give away a plow for a promise of eggs in the future. Or the farmer must trust the blacksmith in order to be willing to deliver eggs for 1 year, hoping to get a plow when the year is over. In other words, where there is no trust, there is no deal. So far, we have identified three conditions for a barter-based exchange: the double coincidence of wants, the declining marginal utility, and the mutual trust, especially when goods are of different perceived value. And because these conditions were necessary, they became obstacles for trading. As people were confronted with these difficulties on an everyday basis, the next logical question was, is there any form of goods that I can accept in exchange for the things I want to trade? Or is there something I can use later on for the things I want to get? What can be that form of goods that anybody may be willing to accept at any time? As more and more people asked the same question, they were looking, of course, for a practical solution. Using anything that is in a fluid form, be it gas or liquid, could not be used. Neither gases nor liquids can be easily carried around and passed from one to another. So it had to be solid. Out of the solids, it could not be something that could be found anywhere. It could not be something that would be washed away in water, and not something that would easily be consumed by fire. So there was one category of materials left: metals. But not any metal was suitable. For instance, iron will rust when it's left in an open environment for a long period of time. The value of the metals was determined by three factors: the scarcity or availability of the metal, the difficulty to extract and purify, and desirability. Finally, due to a general acceptance, metals became money. Copper, bronze, an alloy of copper and tin, silver, and gold started to be used. Copper was way more abundant and common, hence it was used for very low-value transactions, similar to what we call today pocket change. Bronze was pretty similar, maybe slightly more valuable, but the main reason for its usage was because it was harder and more durable than copper. Silver, that is relatively scarce and difficult to extract and purify, was used for regular every trade transactions and acquisition of more durable goods. Gold, the primary precious metal, was used for large transactions, wealth preservation, and transfer to future generations. As metals became more and more accepted, the trade started to flourish. Observing this entire process leads to an important characteristic of metal money. It is a creation of the market, that is, individuals who willingly transact with each other. Money is not a creation of the government. Authorities got involved later when the rulers of those days got an idea. They would make small pieces of metals in form of coins, imprint their portrait on the coins, and declare it to be legal money. Money in form of metals solved all three obstacles at the same time. The double coincidence of wants was always ensured. All the shepherd needs to do is to find someone who is looking for two young goats. The exchange is made with silver coins, and now the shepherd can go to the blacksmith and get his plow, paying with the coins. The double coincidence of wants was always present because everybody wanted money in exchange for what they were selling. The declining marginal utility was solved as well. In exchange for the things they were willing to trade away, people got something that could use later for something else they wanted. Money has no declining marginal utility because when you have more of it, you can do more with it. And the trust issue was also ensured because all deals could be closed right away. The chicken farmer can deliver eggs weekly and get paid immediately in coins, most probably copper or bronze. No promises made. As he saved these coins over time, he may be able to exchange them for silver coins and now can buy the plow he wants paying with silver. The farmer got his plow and the blacksmith got his 1 year supply of eggs. Metal money made this possible, and none of them needs to rely on the other's promise. Finally, there are a couple important observations to be made. The first one was already made, which is money in form of metal coins occurred as a creation of the market because people had a need to trade goods and services. Money was not created by governments. When kings minted coins, it was to make available uniform and recognizable units of exchange based on something that everybody had already accepted. The second one is about the fact that the metals used as money do not have a price expressed in other units of value. The own nature of the metal is the value, and that value is determined by scarcity and the labor required to extract and purify. Any monetary concept like shekel, denarius, drachmas, prutach, sestertius, like many others, was in fact a predetermined quantity of a certain metal. The third one is that the value of a transaction is determined by the type and quantity of the metals used for exchange. The fourth is that in every exchange using metal money, both seller and buyer receives a value that contains both material substance and labor. That is very important to make the exchange fair. In order to really understand the importance of fair exchanges, I would encourage you to check episode 4 of the short series The Merchants of Numbers, available on my channel. As money, in form of metal coins, occurred out of necessity to ease trade, that led to a positive self-enforcing cycle. As more and more goods and services became available, the acceptance of metals as a medium of exchange increased, leading to an overall development of the economy. In the next video, we will investigate the transition from metals to paper money. In the meantime, please do not forget to push the subscribe button, check my website masteringthehumanexperience.com, or follow me on Twitter. Thank you for watching, and God bless.